Cool. Very cool. Well, great. I'm really interested in your story with magnesium and how you're healing people and all of these things that led up to you having this entrepreneurial journey that you're on right now. And I want to begin our discussion with 4 years ago, we were all kind of trying to figure out this pandemic. And now that we're in this post-pandemic era of our existence, how did you make it through that pandemic time period and how did it change you?
Oh, wow. Great question. So we launched this business during the pandemic in
Okay.
2020. That was when I was working with manufacturers. I actually had to work. I worked with six different chemists from all around the world, literally from Utah to the UK, to try and get this product made. I had this huge, incredible, amazing idea, and I wanted to share it with the world, but I couldn't get anybody to take my idea and turn it into reality. They kept telling me it wasn't possible. They're like, sorry, what you're asking for can't be done. So I kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing. And thankfully we had the pandemic, so I was home, and I had the opportunity to really devote some time, energy, and effort into this. So finally found a chemist right in my own backyard, about 2 hours away from us, that made it a reality. And so great, we've got this formula, we're ready to go. And then finding suppliers that could provide the raw materials that were so specific to our product became almost impossible. So do you remember that time where the boats were getting stuck out in
Uh-huh.
port and we couldn't get access? I had ingredients stuck on boats for 6 months.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get this product off and launched, and it was just one disaster after another after another. But I kept pushing and I kept pushing, and we overcame. And when we finally launched, we wound up selling out. So far over the past 2 years, we've sold out 8 different times. It's been beautifully received by customers, and it's going pretty well right now.
So let's get to the heart and soul of this product and what you do exactly. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Sure. So I created a line of magnesium infused creams that help you sleep better, they help you tackle your stress, and they help alleviate pain, soreness, and cramping. So magnesium is a magic mineral that we all need more of. Close to 70% of the population fails to get enough magnesium in their diet every single day. So they're walking around tired all the time. They're struggling with sleep. They're getting leg cramps. They're having headaches. They're struggling with fatigue and memory fog. And all they need is a simple little mineral that's present in our food. Well, consequently, magnesium also absorbs beautifully through your skin. It's a safe, easy, and effective way to boost your magnesium levels that doesn't have any side effects that won't cause you any kind of issues.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
In the third grade, I wanted to be a
Yeah.
ballerina, of course, just
Okay,
like every
that's right.
little girl.
Yeah. So I'm curious how we got to this point. Take me back to where you were born and raised and how these seeds of becoming an entrepreneur and finding out about magnesium, because you're a teacher and there's all these things that go into who you are. How did you evolve to this point right now?
Okay, so from way back when, I grew up with two parents who worked very, very hard. We grew up in New York, and my parents worked in the city, and we lived out on the island. So it was a 2 hour commute each way for them to get to work. So my parents, who had these incredible positions, they are definitely rags to riches kind of story. They grew up in Harlem. They got out of Harlem, worked these incredible jobs in New York, but they would leave at 5 in the morning and they'd get home at 8 o'clock at night. So I didn't see my parents. I was basically raised by my grandmother because she's the only one I saw from Monday through Friday. At some point, my parents are making hundreds of thousands of dollars in the 80s. Big deal, like woohoo, making all this money. And they realized that they never saw their children. They had no relationship with us whatsoever. So they literally sold off everything, got in a car, and moved us down to Florida. that was
Wow.
that was their way of like, forget it. We want to spend time with our children. But in that process, through wild turns of events, we lost everything. So we had all this wealth and all this money, and then to go into basically poverty. We lost everything. There were times where the water wasn't running. There were times where the electric wasn't on, because they weren't able to make their bills. So I know what it's like to have a lot, and I know what it's like to have a little. And I
Yeah.
realize that happiness happens no matter what. It has nothing to do with your circumstances. Happiness has everything to do with your state of mind. And because of that mindset, because of the way that I was raised, knowing that, hey, family's number one, spending time with your kids is number one, and money doesn't buy you happiness. because of that, I'm more willing to take risks. So when I created this company, everybody's like, what do you mean you want to create something that doesn't exist? What are you thinking? I don't have a cosmetic background. My background is in nonprofits, believe it or not. I worked in nonprofits for years. And so when I went from that and I'm wanting to develop something completely out of thin air, everybody thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Even my parents were like, we sent you to college for you to wind up making a cream, a body lotion? What? And so I wasn't fazed by it because risks don't bother me. It doesn't, that fear is not part of my mindset whatsoever.
Yeah. So who's been a hero? Who's been an inspiration? You're obviously highly driven. You're an entrepreneur. You've created a very unique product. Who has been that fuel for you?
So in terms of like in my personal life, of course, it would be my grandmother. She is or she was such a driving force for me. She raised me basically since I was little. My grandmother, she was just a force to be reckoned with. Growing up, and she grew up in Puerto Rico. She has a second grade education. They took her out of school at second grade so she could raise her brothers and sisters and work in the tobacco fields. So she was just a fierce woman that didn't let anything stand in her way. And after having a few children, her spouse had left her and left her high and dry with nothing. And she came over to New York, not knowing any language, not having any connections, with 3 kids in tow. And she was just like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make it work. And she just there wasn't an obstacle that she feared. Like there was nothing could stand in this woman's way.
Yeah.
I hear stories about when she was younger and women weren't allowed into bars. It was only for men, and women weren't allowed to smoke cigarettes. It was only for men back in the day. And so she would get dressed up as a man and go to the bars so that she could enjoy a cigarette and a drink. So she was a piece of work. She
Yeah.
was been a huge inspiration. I always think to myself, what would Maria do? Anytime I'm trying I'm in a circumstance, what would Maria do? And she's really been just a huge part of my philosophy of life.
So, as being kind of a trend-setting entrepreneur now, creating something that's obviously going well, who has been a model of business that you've admired? Somebody that created something that's risen to the top. Who has that been for you?
So, hands down, by far, it would be Jamie Kern Lima. She is the founder of It Cosmetics. And I had just the unbelievable opportunity to hear her speak live. I had never heard of this woman, and she was speaking at a business conference. And from the minute the first words came out of her mouth, I was absolutely captivated by her story, ran out, bought her book, had to learn everything about this woman. Did not have a cosmetics background. She saw a problem, she found a way to fix it, and she changed an entire industry. This woman at the time when she developed her makeup line, models were all perfect and had excellent features, and they were all skinny, beautiful women. And when she came out, she is a full figured woman, still incredibly beautiful, but she had terrible rosacea. And so she started off on like the home shopping network, going on there, showing her rosacea, not being a skinny, perfect model, and showing the benefits of her makeup line. And it changed the way advertisement is being done for makeup. We no longer have perfect people. Like you see the Dove commercials where they're very body positive. That all started with this woman. She went on, she had so many obstacles, struggled so much about her business, and then ultimately sold it for $1 billion to L'Oreal. And so she's the first female CEO of L'Oreal. She is the first, woman to sell their cosmetics business for $1 billion. And she's such an inspiration.
Wow. Well, what's that inspiration for you? What gets you out of bed? What gets you to do the work that you do that's helping people, but also you have to evolve as a human being? What is that drive for you?
Absolutely. So, in terms of what gets me out of bed, it's honestly the transformation that my customers see. I have hard days just like anybody. Like this week has been a heck of a week. Our delivery was delayed by 3 days. It came and it was raining. It's been a whole thing. But when I have times like that, I literally will go through, and it sounds silly, but I will go and I'll pull up the reviews on our website. I screenshot positive emails that I get from my customers. I screenshot comments that I get on social media about these products literally changing people's lives. And I just go back to that because that's my why. So when I get an email that somebody's like, hey, I've been on sleeping pills, for 10 years. I've had insomnia, nothing works. And I tried your product for a week and I'm sleeping 8 hours a night. And now I'm not tired in the morning. Now I'm not irritable. Now I'm not foggy headed. Now I have energy. I can play with my kids again. Thank you for letting me play with my kids again. When I hear stories like that, I'm flabbergasted. I'm honored. And it pushes me to want to keep going. Like it is the why behind why I do everything.
What was the moment that you realized magnesium was a magic mineral that not only you needed in your life, but that you wanted to proliferate and get to others out there?
So that happened about 8 years ago. So at the time, I myself was struggling with insomnia, sleeping about 2 hours a night. I had severe anxiety and terrible panic attacks. I had panic attacks so bad that I'd be in line at the grocery store and have to run out of the store because I was going through a full blown panic attack out of nowhere. It made it hard for me to drive my car, to parent my kids. It was a really dark period of my life. And I was doing everything you're supposed to do, eating a healthy organic diet, exercising regularly, managing my lifestyle. So doing everything, checking all the boxes, but I still felt awful. So I did what any normal person would do. I went to the doctor and said, "Hey, doc, fix me." And she ordered a battery of tests, sent me to countless specialists. I felt like a human pincushion because they were drawing so much blood from me. And at the end of the day, she sat me down, she looked me straight in the face, and she said, "Natalie, there's nothing wrong with you. This is all in your head. Your blood work is perfect." She's like, "This is just what happens as a woman gets older." And so I wasn't okay with that.
Right.
On one hand, I was so happy that, yay, my blood work is great. I'm healthy. But on the other hand, I felt like a prisoner in my own body, in my own brain. So I kept searching. I kept looking for answers. I'm like, there's got to be a reason why I went from feeling normal to this ball of nerves. And so, through a wild turn of events, I discovered magnesium. Within 1 week of using it, I went from sleeping 2 hours a night to sleeping 6 hours a night. My
Wow.
anxiety started going down, and I didn't have a single panic attack that week. And I thought, wait a second, why didn't my doctors mention this?
Mhm.
Why isn't there a magic test for this? What is going on? I'm eating healthy. I should have enough magnesium. And that's when I learned so much about magnesium. I started putting it out on my TikTok page, putting it out on videos, sharing all my research with the world. And it kind of snowballed into something huge.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. With your products, you're giving people a better life. You're helping them. You're almost like advice. What's the best advice that you've ever gotten?
The best advice I've ever gotten, it was through that whole circumstance that I went through, that nobody is allowed to define what is normal for you. My normal was sleeping at night, was not feeling anxious. And for an outside source, for a doctor to say, well, sorry, this is normal for you now, I'm not okay with that. And I really feel like we need to be advocates for our normal, for what is normal for us.
Yeah. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point. What advice would you impart on that young version of you? And would that version of you listen?
Oh, okay. I'm about to get vulnerable with you. Are you okay with that?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. So, if I could go back in time and talk to my 18-year-old self, I would tell her she's a queen. I would say, fix your crown. You're a queen. You're the daughter of the Most High. Don't forget that. Because I know when I was 18 and up through my 20s, I really lacked confidence. So I was a big people pleaser. I was a big make sure everybody around you is happy, because I didn't have the confidence to stand in my own strength. So I would go back and tell her, "Hey, you are so much more than you let yourself, and you're going to do big things in this world. Just wait." I don't know if she would have listened because she was very hard headed, and I
Yeah.
still am. But that's what I would tell her.
Yeah. So of all of these things that you've done and evolved into in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Um, wow, great question. There's a lot. I mean, of course, I'm proud of this business, of what I've created from nothing. I've really turned it into something amazing. But I'm also proud of my family. I've got two incredible boys that are just loving and kind and just good. They're just good, Like,
Yeah.
I don't care if I raise the smartest child, the fastest, or the best athlete. I care if I raise a child who is inherently good,
Yeah.
who's going to help people on the street when they see people in need. And I think I've done a really good job of doing that.
So let's say we get off this call here and a time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go back in time and see one event in human history with your own eyes, or you can go into the future and see what's going on. Where are you going to go?
I'd go back in time.
Okay. What do you
Yeah.
what do you want to see?
I am a Christian, and so for me, I would love to see the time when Jesus walked the earth. Like
Yeah.
that would be amazing to sit at his feet and learn the lessons.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that would 100% be amazing.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you're the face behind this product. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, I think I am a person who genuinely cares about other people. My background, of course, is in nonprofits. So I knew when I created this company, I wanted it to be a company that actually gives gives a darn about other people, right? Like I want this company to be a reflection of my nonprofit background. So I want to change lives. I want to make a difference. And I literally spend hours every single week just providing free education about magnesium, not necessarily to get people to buy my product, but simply to be a resource in the community. I created like our creator TikTok channel is just education for free. And we provide so many free resources and free help to the community. And so that is and always will be a part of my mission.
So speaking of, if anyone wants to pick up your product, they want to learn more about magnesium, about you and your mission, reach out. Any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, so our website is berootedin.com. And then across all social media, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, we're at berootedin. And especially on our social media channels, we've got links to magnesium quizzes, magnesium resource guides, magnesium cheat sheets, all this beautiful and great information to help you on your magnesium journey.
Excellent, Natalie. This has been fascinating. Thank you so much for your story. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take